Hi everyone and welcome back to Nick's Diecast. For today's video, I'll be showing you and reviewing this 1/18 scale Chrysler GT Cruiser concept made by Motormax. So the Chrysler GT Cruiser was a concept that was shown in 2000 at the Detroit Auto Show alongside the Chrysler Panel Cruiser concept and the Chrysler PT Cruiser, which is what would actually make it into production and whatnot. So the GT Cruiser was kind of like a high performance version of the PT Cruiser, but not really. Most of it was just like visual differences. Like for example, in the front on the PT Cruiser, the grille goes all the way down in kind of a U shape. On the GT Cruiser, which you can see here, it has kind of this lower grille here and the two round fog lights. Gives it a slightly more, I guess, aggressive look, but not too much. And in addition, in the back, it also was just kind of one smooth look. On the PT Cruiser, it had a big like plastic bumper back here, and the fog lights were not round like this. They were kind of an oval shape. The GT Cruiser would not make it into production, but there was a version of the PT Cruiser called the PT Cruiser GT that was kind of similar to this, only it still had like those bumpers and everything. Only they were, of course, I think they were like body colored. And that came with like a manual transmission and whatnot. So it was a little bit different from the regular PT Cruiser, but not too much. So this model is by Motormax, as I mentioned before. It's actually the first one that I've added to my collection. I figured it would look nice with my Pronto Cruiser concept that I got last month. Overall, this is an okay model, but it's missing some details in some areas. And I bought this for $30 on Amazon, and I believe you can still find it on there, from what I know, despite being discontinued, which is kind of strange. But all right, in terms of detail, we'll go ahead and look at the front first here. Motormax did a decent job with these headlights here. They have like a reflective pattern on them, and there are kind of two big pegs, but you can't really see them from a distance or anything. This one has a pretty big gap between the metalwork and the plastic lens, but from a distance you can't really tell too much. And they're sturdy, like they're not loose or anything. Despite looking like they're gonna pop out at any given moment, the lenses are actually nice and firm. These lower fog lights down here are actually separate plastic pieces too. There's a big peg in the center of each one, but that's kind of where the bulb would be on the real one, so that's not a big deal. Now the whole front of this model is made of metal. So this grille here, what Motormax did was they actually etched the metal grille into the metal body of the car. I kind of like that. I know most model manufacturers don't really do that, but I kind of like how it's molded into the car because you can tell it's all one like uniform color on the front. If it was a plastic piece, it wouldn't really look too great. If they had painted the insides of the slats black, that would have probably added a lot more to the detail, but from a distance, it actually does look like it's black on the inside. The badge here looks great. They did a great job with kind of replicating the shape and everything. It's not a separate piece or anything, but it does kind of pop out like it's a three-dimensional badge, so that's a nice touch. Now, paint quality on this car isn't really that great along with the metalwork. You can see there's like this kind of seam alongside the fender here, and there's these like lines going through it. I don't know why that is. I guess they didn't fully like polish the metal before they painted it, but it's on the other side of the car too. You can see there. So I don't really know what that's all about. Then on the back, on the bumper, you can tell it's kind of like a little bit too thick and everything. There's kind of a big seam going there. So not really the best paint quality. I mean, from a far distance, you can't really tell. Well, a little bit with this lighting. But on areas like the roof and the hood, the paint looks great. It's like a metallic silver, so it really sparkles in the light. But they could have done a better job with the paint on the fenders and everything. I mean, it just looks really badly done. Moving along to the side, they did a good job with these wheels. What Motormax did was they actually made the disc spin with the wheel too, which you don't really see too much of on these budget models. And these wheels were actually on the GT Cruiser concept, and yes, they should be painted silver. They actually weren't chrome on the real car. Did a nice job with these little like rivets on the sides too. I like that a lot. No suspension, but you do get full steering, which is a nice touch. There's a GT Cruiser badging on either side of the car. I like how they did it in kind of like that charcoal gray. And it is painted on, it's not really a sticker or anything like that. Motormax actually used separate pieces for the door handles, which actually look well done. A lot of times you just have like the molded door handle in the metal. It's not really a separate piece, but on this model they actually made the separate pieces. So that's a nice touch. Moving along to the back, you'll see that there's another really well done Chrysler badge down here. It's actually bigger than the one on the front, but same thing. It looks three-dimensional and it's painted on nicely. It's not faded or anything like that. The taillights look kind of cheap. They have like these massive like glue pegs in them. Even from a distance, you can really tell that they're actually there. But at least for the fog lights, they look pretty good. They also have pegs in them, but from a distance, you really can't tell that they're actually there. Interesting feature on the back here. Motormax actually went to the trouble of putting in a rear like defroster window. You don't really ever see that on budget models, even on like higher end models too. And there is a wiper back here. It's actually a separate piece. It doesn't move or anything, but at least it's not like a molded into the windshield piece like most of these wipers are on the budget cars. Now the side windows, as you saw in the unboxing video, this one was actually broken off in the box. I was able to pop it back in place, but these aren't held in by any glue, so just be careful with them. They might pop out. So I might go in there and glue it back on just so it doesn't pop out again. There's a massive panel gap with this hatch door back here. You can tell with like on the roof and everything, it's a big gap. A really cool feature on this model car is the fact that the mirrors are not only made of metal, but they actually fold like so. I don't know if other Motormax models have this feature, but this is actually the first time I've seen this on a model car. I saw a few pictures of this model online and I thought, why do the mirrors all look like they're broken? Then I realized once I got the model that, hey, they're actually folding mirrors. That's a really, really cool feature. You don't really see that on that many models. Go ahead and unfold those. Everything does open on this car. We'll go ahead and take a look at the trunk first. Not really too much to see in there. It does have a kind of a plastic texture in there. And it does actually go all the way back to the seat, but there should be a shelf in here. Because on the real PT Cruiser, it came with this like storage shelf that you could take in and out of the car. That's not there, but at least they did a liner on the inside of the trunk. We'll close that up. The Maisto version of the PT Cruiser does not have an opening hood. On the Motormax version, which is this one, it does. So that's a nice touch. We'll go ahead and open that up. Engine detailing is okay. You can tell on the metal here, there's a little bit of scraping. I don't know. I didn't do that. That's how the model came. Not much detail on the engine. It is just kind of like one plastic piece, but there is at least some coloring. You can see here with these silver like pipes, I guess they are, and some of these caps and stuff back here. They look fairly well done. It doesn't move or anything, the piece, so that's a nice touch. The hood actually closes nice and tight. When you turn the model upside down, it doesn't fall open. And also with the hatch door too, it does the same thing. It doesn't fall open when you turn the model upside down. Now on this model, all four doors do open. The thing is though, the back doors are really not that well built. These open on spring-loaded hinges, and if you pull this open too fast, it'll come right out. So that's a really, really poorly done job with these doors. But if you do open it, and you can see with like the with the hinge back there, it's exposed. They didn't even bother to cover it over with like the plastic panel on the door. So that's not really a good feature. And the funny thing is the front doors open with dog-leg hinges, but the back doors don't. I don't know why they just couldn't have done dog-leg hinges for all four doors, but that's beyond me. This door, same thing as the dog leg. It kind of stops, then you have to kind of force it open a little bit. That's not that great. This door is very loose. It's bound. This one actually did fall off at one point for me when I opened it, so I had to put that back in place. But yeah, just not that good of a job with these hinges back here. So just be very, very careful with that. I'm not going to open these doors too much just for that reason. So that's kind of a bummer, but I mean, it's an early Motormax, so details aren't like superb in that sense. Speaking of door panels, not too much detail to see. They do have the nice, like a good overall shape and everything, and they have like the leather pattern going on the sides, and you can see the door handles, but they should actually be silver. And then back here, kind of the same thing. There's not really too much to see and whatnot, so that's not really there's not too much detail on there. Now these seats, they actually look pretty good. They have a nice overall shape to them and everything, and the front seats actually fold, which is a really cool touch. And you can see on the back, they actually even went to the trouble of putting in these like nets, these like storage nets, so that's a nice touch. Back seat doesn't move or fold or anything, but you do get a seat belt, as you can see here. Same thing on the other side there. There is kind of a nice texture to them as well. Now, center console. The buttons are there, but they're certainly not colored in or anything. That's a very characteristic Motormax thing. A lot of their older models, they don't have coloring on the buttons. They include all the buttons, but they're not really colored in. And their interiors are often these like very drab colors. This one is an okay color. It's kind of a grayish brown. It looks good with this silver, but with other colors like the red and blue, not so much. It would look better with if it was like a black interior. The only, I mean, the seat belts are black, the brake pedals are black, and this shifter here, that's a separate color. But everything else is just all one color. So they could have maybe done a little bit more detailing in that sense, but that would have been nice to see if they did more detailing there. Steering wheel looks okay. It's the right shape and everything. It even has a little logo in the center, it looks like, but it's not really colored in or anything like that. And this gauge cluster should be silver, and same thing with this area right here. They should be painted silver to match the body of the car, but they're not. I might go in there and do that myself, but I'll have to think about it. I'm not really sure. The mirror looks okay. They actually did bother to put some buttons on the mirror, which is weird. You'd think they would spend the money with coloring in these buttons, but they didn't. We'll close these up. The doors are a bit hard to close, as you can see here. I have to kind of like jury it shut and push it back in place. Same thing with this side. Okay. I forgot to mention. Worst exhaust pipes I've ever seen on a 1/18 scale model car. They're not even pipes. They're just like these two black sticks. Yeah, the undercarriage, there's really nothing to see at all. It's like the bottom of like a 1/64 or Hot Wheels car. Doesn't look that great, but you're not gonna be looking that much under here anyway, so. This model does have some really cool features like those folding mirrors and the folding seats, but details could have definitely been added in some areas. Overall, as a model itself, it looks really good. I mean, the PT Cruiser is not really everyone's favorite car, and I think the GT Cruiser version with, you know, with like the smoother front end and everything, I think it looks a lot better than the regular PT Cruiser. So I would say for 30 bucks, this model is good. It's not excellent, it's not bad, it's just good. You can find this on eBay and on Amazon and whatnot, but I would not spend over $35 on it for sure. Its details just don't make it worth above that price, I would say. All right, that's pretty much a wrap. As always, be sure to comment down below and subscribe to the channel and give the video a like. And also be sure to follow my Instagram, Nick's Diecast page. All right, thanks for watching.